Mr. Bear. Mr. Bear. Mr. Greenstein.
Here.
Mr. Hohauser.
Here.
Mr. McDermott.
He is unable to be here this evening due to business obligations.
Mrs. Nadella. Thank you.
Okay, we do have a student performance tonight, so I'm going to let Mrs.
wanted to thank again our student performers. So happy they did spring and not winter. Spring. They did a great job. I'll make a motion for the adoption of the agenda November 18, 2014. Mr. Holhauser, all in favor? Ms. Tony? Raise your hand. Okay. 5-0, thank you. And before community comment? Okay. We have a certificate of excellence from the board this evening. We'd like to thank a community member. The Board of Education and District Administration would like to thank Mark Feldman, CEO of Manor Construction Corp., for his generosity to the athletic department and community. On Saturday evening, October 18th, Fort Washington hosted a first-round playoff game of the varsity girls soccer team. Mark Feldman reached out to the athletic department with an offer to donate portable lights so the team could have a night game. Mark is a parent of former students in the district. His daughter played soccer and lacrosse for us. We accepted the donation. His company provided the lights, insurance, fuel, setup, and breakdown at our field. He oversaw the delivery, and his crew worked together with our grounds crew. They were professional, respectful, and efficient. His generosity allowed us to host the first night game in 6 years on the turf, which was viewed by over 250 people. Our team won. Thank you very much, Mr. Feldman. We will now begin our community comments, student and community comments, and we would ask that you please identify yourself for the record and keep to the 3-minute limit. We would like to start this evening with the co-presidents of the paraprofessionals unit. Thank you.
Pat Baglio, Co-President PWPA, Schreiber ITA. Since today is SRP Recognition Day, a day to acknowledge and celebrate the contributions of school-related professionals, we thought it would be a good time to answer the question, what does a paraprofessional do? In the Port Washington School District, paraprofessionals are educational assistants, teacher assistants, monitors, and information technology aides. But our job titles do not begin to tell the story of who we are and what we do. Throughout the district, we are the extra hands, eyes, and ears for the instructional staff and administrators. We do the jobs that teachers, librarians, and administrators simply don't have the time to do, and we do them very well. The paraprofessionals are dedicated, take pride in their work, and are committed to the success of every student. We are the district's front lines. All visitors to Port Washington schools have to be cleared through a security desk staffed by a paraprofessional. We work with special education students at all levels as mandated by CSE. We work with students with medical needs, both transient and chronic. We work with ESL students of all ages, some of whom arrive just days before starting school, speak little to no English, and are thrust into a totally unfamiliar environment. At all school levels, we translate for students and parents. We work with the most vulnerable and most at-risk students and provide that extra support and encouragement that allows them to achieve success. The district has sought to save money by keeping more students within district, and the paraprofessionals play a strong role in making that possible. Paraprofessionals are often the adults the children will turn to first for advice, problem solving, and an empathetic ear. We are role models and mentors. Time and again, members have mentioned the rewards of our job being the success of their students and how so many of those students express their appreciation not only during the school year, but for so many years later.
Good evening. I'm Alicia Petty. I'm a teacher's assistant at Greenline Elementary School. We ensure the safety of the elementary students as they arrive on buses, cars, or walking, and supervise them until the start of the instructional day. We make sure the students who need breakfast are fed and all children are in the right place at the right time. We check their demeanor as they start their day. We work in classrooms, libraries, resource rooms, computer labs, and copy rooms. We work one-on-one with the neediest children, and we partner with reading, speech, special area, resource, and math teachers. We meet with OTs, PTs, behaviorists, psychologists, guidance counselors, and administrators on a daily basis to make sure we are reinforcing their efforts and supporting those students' needs. We implement and log complex behavioral intervention plans, and we report results on a daily basis. In the early grades, we help children master basic skills like tying shoes, zipping coats, and the proper way to hold a pencil. Sometimes I would say please and thank you. We help them adjust to new social dynamics and teach them how to be organized and pack and unpack their backpack. In the later years, in the later grades, we provide academic support, in addition to extra support for those students with medical and emotional needs. During lunch and recess, we provide general supervision and ensure safety at all times. We follow through and enforce the allergy awareness, anti-bullying, and cultural competency programs the district promotes. We make sure everyone eats lunch, everyone has a friend, and no one is alone. We encourage positive social interactions and provide our students with a safe environment whereby they develop confidence and positive self-esteem. We cover classes when teachers are in meetings and training classes, or when teachers are absent and there are no subs available. We reinforce, reteach, and take advantage of each interaction with children as a teachable moment. At the end of the day, we make sure all the students get on the right buses, are in the car lines, over the right adults, so they can get to school.
My name is Lori Leeds. I'm a teacher's assistant at the ESL department at Charter. At the middle school and high school, we push into classes like algebra, geometry, trigonometry, earth science, biology, chemistry, American and global history, as well as government and economics. We take notes to share with those students who need that extra help to be successful in their coursework. We read the books, poems, plays that they read, so we can help them in writing cohesive essays and DBQs. We attend classes with our students to make sure they stay focused and on task. In resource rooms, we work with groups or individual students on classwork and homework and help them review for exams. We act as a liaison between the classroom teachers and resource teachers to make sure assignments are completed properly. We advise, encourage, and hopefully inspire the students. We proctor exams and make sure every student receives the proper accommodations. We advocate for our students and make sure that they have what they need, whether it is notes missed from a class, extra one-on-one tutoring, assistance with college essays and college and financial aid applications, fee waivers for extra activities, or in some cases, a snack. In the library, we staff the circulation desk, assist teachers in gathering materials for research projects, and help students locate books and resources. We maintain the collections and other equipment in the library. We assist students with physical limitations to navigate crowded hallways and provide access to the elevator as required. We supervise students during lunch and recess at Weber and at Schreiber, during any unstructured time in the library, commons, and cafeteria, maintaining as much order as can be expected of a large group of teenagers within our period. At Schreiber, 2 paraprofessionals staff the 10. Maintain conduct records and follow up with teachers to make sure that those students' time is as productive as possible.
ITAs, one per school and one district-wide, are the first line of support for all technology-related equipment throughout the district, starting with computers, interactive boards, projectors, Chromebooks, laptops, and iPads, all the way through telephones. We install and set up hardware and software and maintain the user accounts for the network and for a myriad of other software or web-based programs subscribed by the district. We support all technology-related projects and initiatives in the schools, including but not limited to NWEA testing, Math in Focus, Skills Pointer, and the district/school website. We are the building's resource for anything and everything involving technology. In essence, we are the technology help desk for the district, handling countless calls ourselves and referring others to the proper technology department staff member. Many would be surprised to learn that unlike most other public school staff, Port Washington paraprofessionals do not earn more based on years of experience or additional certifications, degrees, or credits beyond the district employment requirement. All within a specified job title earn the same contractual salary. There may be those who think there are too many of us, and the district could save money and cut the budget by trimming our ranks. We emphatically challenge that notion. They are only looking at numbers and do not see the whole picture and how we contribute to the success of our students. A large majority of us are community members with children that attend or have attended our schools, and as such, we clearly see our value as far, far greater than our cost. We hope you now have a clearer understanding of what paraprofessionals do and will join with us in recognizing these hardworking staff members.
Before we move on to the rest of community comments, I just wanted to take a moment to thank the paraprofessionals for coming forward this evening and helping to educate the community in all the many things that you do for us. And on behalf of the Board of Education, to take this opportunity to thank all of you for everything that you do in our schools, for our kids. Thank you. Now we're back to the 3-minute limit.
Hello, my name is Josh Burgess, and I'm a senior at High School. Honorable members of the Board and Administration, I would first like to thank you for your careful consideration of alternative scheduling programs to educate students at the lowest cost to taxpayers. However, I cannot allow discussion to a 9-period schedule to pass without opposing it in the strongest terms. The only real reason I've seen thus far in support of the switch to a 9-period day would be that it cuts costs. This would be only because it would cut teachers. So if this is our goal, we should come right out and say that it is our goal to cut teachers. It has been dressed up in these complicated plans because you, as well as I, do not want to cut teachers. There's an easy answer. Don't cut teachers. But above all, don't do it by switching to the 9-period day. Here are the reasons that a 9-period day would be detrimental to the students on a general level. The smaller number of different blocks in which the fit classes would destroy the ability for students to branch out and take a number of career or interest-specific courses. Teachers would not have enough blocks to teach non-core classes. This means that the majority of elective honors and AP courses would be in danger, including AP Psychology, AP Art, AP Photo, AP Statistics, AP Comparative Government, AP Computer Science, AP Environmental Science, AP United States Government, as well as most other electives. The teachers from these courses would be needed in order to teach sections of the standardized courses that all students would be funneled into. This is the dreaded college prep only school that effectively succeeds in accomplishing none of the original goals of public education. Schools should be designed to instill community, cooperation, and good citizenship. These are all the virtues that our country extols and which will be necessary when students leave the definite goal world of school and enter the more open-ended world of adult life. This is why our school originally designed the innovative block schedule, to allow students to use off periods to pursue their own interests, allow them flexibility, and and allow them to reflect on their lessons. In my junior year, I had fewer off periods because I wanted to pursue a number of classes, including World War II history and radio. This year, however, I fear that AP classes would interfere with my sleep schedule and thus with my academic performance. So I kept a few off periods to get work done to discuss economics, a career interest of mine, with my teacher, or on the occasional night when I must stay up until 1:30 doing homework to know that I can nap without missing a lesson. Oftentimes, I discuss current events with my friends, and on days like today, we're able to apply the lessons of political philosophy to international affairs. I have a number of friends who live in Westchester and have 9-period days. Their classes are far less diverse in their subject matter. School is always a thing to be hated, and consequently, their education is less complete. At Schreiber, we're able to help each other on homework during off periods, and pursue a number of objectives not possible in the rigid structure that a 9-period day would enforce. This quality, plus the diversity of courses afforded by the block schedule, is one of the many things that makes Schreiber a great school. Please do not take this away.
Hello, my name is Sam Brisman, and I'm a senior at Schreiber High School. I'd like to speak today on why I strongly believe that smaller class sizes would be better for our educational system. I'm going to get straight down to the logical points. The class sizes at Schreiber are pushing things to the maximum if it is not already pushed over the edge. Some classes have become places where teachers can no longer make a strong connection with the student or give them the extra help they need in order to be successful in the class. One of my classes, and for the sake of reputation, I'll not name the class or a teacher, has become so large that after 5 weeks of school, I was addressed as Brian in my progress report. My name is Sam, not Brian. This error was not made due to a computer glitch or a lack of concentration by the teacher, but rather is due to the burden that is placed on the teachers in the school to give a high level of education to so many kids at once. The tone of the school has become quantity rather than quality. We are packing as many kids as possible while the quality of each child's education suffers. I also, as the captain of the Schreiber's debate team, helped mentor over 20 underclassmen and have been asked countless times, quote, "Can you explain to me why there are 40 kids in my honors class? The curriculum is difficult enough. There should not be an added burden of having little attention from the teachers." There are clear effects linked to this burden. When students can't receive the personalized attention that they need, they are forced to hire educators outside of the classroom to tutor them privately. Not only does this limit the amount of time students then have to use for other classes, but creates a tremendous cost for the parents as private tutoring does not come cheap. I come well prepared today with studies done by the most highly regarded researchers in the field of education. One of the few reliable, scientifically sound studies on the effects of class sizes is the Tennessee Student-Teacher Achievement Ratio, or STAR program. It showed that on average, decreasing primary school sizes from 25 to 17 increased standardized math and reading scores by 5 percentile points. The effect is particularly pronounced among students from low-income backgrounds, and we want to be known as a district for diversity and opportunities. What better way than decreasing achievement gaps? Smaller class sizes are one of only 4 reforms that Institution of Educational Sciences, the research arm of the United States Department of Education, verifies as evidence the ability to improve student achievement. According to Robert Rios from the Johns Hopkins University School of Education, every educator, myself included, would argue strongly that large classes have an adverse impact on education, learning, and society. From experience alone, I can state with full confidence that large class sizes have, are, and continue to record many positive advances in education and learning. Many assert that reducing class sizes is too costly, and furthermore, that there is no proof of evidence that small class sizes make a difference in learning. I mean to show that the cost of reducing class sizes is minimal compared to the price that we, all of us, will pay in the future.
30 seconds.
This speech is in no way an attack on our educational system, and is especially not aimed against the staff at Schreiber. I've had a fantastic education during my years at Schreiber, and I'm well educated. But I am making this speech on behalf of my younger sibling, as well as all the other future kids that will soon walk the halls of Schreiber. Especially with the growing population rate, it is unfair for these students to be in class where the teacher doesn't even know their name. Thank you.
I just have to say, as the person that is singularly responsible for moving these meetings along, it's quite a burden. That was great. The speed with which you covered that all, it was very admirable. Thank you.
Christine Vasilev, President for Washington Teachers Association. I can't talk that fast. I rise representing the 500 members of my bargaining unit to recognize and celebrate the work of the school-related professionals, all of them. The description given tonight doesn't begin to describe the important role that the paraprofessionals, and I'll add the secretaries, the custodians, our partners in education have provided in our school. So I echo the sentiments of the board, and I proudly recognize and thank the paraprofessionals, secretaries, and custodians for their part in the excellent education that we attempt to provide here in Port Washington. Congratulations.
Hello, my name is Robin DeBear, and I'm a parent of 3 children in our school district, one at Weber and 2 at Guggenheim, and also happen to be one of the HSA co-presidents of Guggenheim. But tonight I'm speaking to is just one of many concerned parents from Guggenheim. I would really like to be able to support the Board of Ed in its pursuit of the message of the bond, but I'm having difficulty when I see glaring issues at our school that will have to wait at least 2 years to be addressed. At the Board of Ed meeting on October 24th, the board accepted class sizes of 15 elementary school classes across the district that fell outside of the district guidelines. 8 of these classes were at Guggenheim. At present, all 4 sections of our first grade classes are outside of the district policy, with class sizes between 25 to 26 students. This does not take into account the self-contained special education class, which is housed at Guggenheim and has 11 students who push into these classes at various points during the day. There are no teacher assistants in first grade, which leaves the teachers virtually paralyzed in terms of working one-on-one or even in small groups for instruction. This is extremely upsetting, as this is a grade where many children are learning to read, one of their basic foundations in education. I find it disturbing and impossible to believe that the quality of education that our first graders are receiving at Guggenheim, with at times between 25 to 28 children in a class, is on a par with that of other elementary schools with smaller class sizes across our district, especially given that the district standard is 23 students. The disservice is being done to our children and to special education children who mainstream into these classes. All 3 of our 5th grade classes are also over the district limit and were accepted as well. I invite the board to visit these classrooms and see the crowded conditions that exist for these prepubescent students, many of whom are almost the size of adults. I cannot understand how they are able to learn effectively and how the classrooms that they sit in are not considered a fire hazard. On top of the overcrowding of our school, there is a serious problem with the plumbing and restrooms. I can't tell you how many times my children have come home to tell me they weren't able to use the restrooms because of flooding from one of the bathrooms and horrific odors that seem to persist. It only about 2 years ago, the school needed to be evacuated due to the change in the situation, and a section of bathrooms were not able to be used for an entire week. The ability to use a clean and functioning bathroom in the school should be a right, not a privilege. The fact that the district has not addressed this issue, which has been going on for years, is appalling. On October 21st, the photographer presented his findings to the Board of Ed and to concerned citizens. I am quite sure that the starting number used to evaluate Guggenheim was incorrect, as our enrollment today is at 557 students. On top of that, it was not clear to us that these calculations took into account that the first few blocks of math grades are zoned for Guggenheim. I am imploring the board on behalf of many concerned parents of Guggenheim to help our students.
3 minutes.
Help us to ease the overburdened class sizes by perhaps reevaluating the programs that are held at Guggenheim, get our teachers some classroom help, promise to fix our bathrooms before we face another evacuation, and please make sure that the demographers' information about the future of our school is based on accurate information. Thank you.
Yesterday, our New York State Board of Regents held discussions about mandating field testing. Procedurally, there will be a 45-day period for public comment. As school board members representing the interests of children, please take this opportunity to contact the Board of Regents to tell them that you do not support any additional mandated testing, field or otherwise. In addition, I would like to suggest that we have, as other Long districts do, a public policy arm of our board, including parents, to focus on proposed mandates so that our school board and community members can be more proactive and informed about the important educational matters impacting our children. Thank you.
I guess they save the best for last. Richard Escobedo, Unit President for the Custodial Maintenance and Transportation Unit. We talk about the accomplishments, about the contracts today. 2.5 years we've been without a contract. Like a hard thing to swallow, in some sense. But with the partnership, Kathy Mooney, Elaine Fennett, and the rest of the administration, I'm going to thank you on behalf of the custodial unit to say that we could work things out after so long, and then we found common cause. And Mary, I do love you. So with that said, on behalf of all of us, we thank you for everything. Thank you.
I just want to welcome everyone here tonight. It's nice to see a big crowd. I did want to take a moment to dispel some miscommunications, I believe, that are going on in the district. First of which is based on our presentation a little while back, a few meetings ago, about a month ago, I believe, from the Schreiber High School, and this evening's presentation from Weber Middle School. We've asked for those presentations because we have to find a way to find savings in the district because we have a gap in what we need to go down to bring our budget under the tax cap levy. And because unlike times in the past, we want to be as fully informed in advance as possible rather than at the 11th hour making somewhat random decisions based on what we can best guess at the time. We are trying to be responsible and do our due diligence and ask the proper questions so that we know all of our options in front of us. First of which was at Schreiber High School, as many community members have asked us, and maybe those community members aren't in the room tonight, but it's our job to listen to all of the people in the community, and they ask over and over, couldn't we save a lot of money at Schreiber if we went and changed our schedule and went from a modified block to a 9-period schedule? We wanted that answered, and we wanted an answer in front of the whole community. We're not just saying we want to be transparent, we're actually trying to be transparent. So we had that presentation, and at the end of the meeting, it would seem that many community members missed the part where we told Mr. Bernick we appreciated his presentation, and at this time, for as long as possible, certainly in the coming years, we would like to support his recommendation and that of Central Administration to maintain the schedule of Schreiber as it is, and then he will work with us to find the savings in other ways. So I hope that makes that clear. The same goes for this evening at Weber. We're not looking to make changes just for the sake of changes, but we have to look at everything and see if we made changes to scheduling, would we find savings? And if we can't find them there, we'll move on in our next coming meetings before the budget has to be voted on to determine where we can find savings. Because in one way or another, there will have to be some level of savings found. We're hopeful. A lot of things are happening with various things happening with the budget that Mr. Bear will speak to a little bit more articulately in a moment that will allow us not to have to make too many of those changes or cuts. But we have to be as fully informed as possible. So we hope that in having these presentations in public, everyone is getting an education as well, and will understand and listen to the final outcome after those presentations and understand what's happening. And if you don't, please contact us directly and ask us those questions so that we can let you know and there won't be so much misinformation. On that note, I will turn this over to Mr. Bear to discuss for a moment the bond and the budget as the chair of the budget committee, because there seems to be some misunderstanding about the relationship between the two and how that's all working. So he's better talking about that, so I'm going to give it to him.
Thank you. There's been some comments that have come our way about the linking of the bond and the budget, and how one shouldn't punish the other, or how they're interrelated. And really, they're two separate and distinct items that we're looking at. The budget at the moment, and as Karen said, we're really looking to optimize the money that we're spending in the support of education. There's a fixed pool that we deal with. There's a tax cap that deals with how much actually we can raise. And so a lot of these presentations are searching for, as Karen just said, the way we can optimize and provide the most for the kids in all the buildings. The bond is secondarily something that we're looking to optimize the facilities and the environment the kids are actually learning in. They are not linked in the sense of, if you put something in the bond, do you punish the budget, and if something is in the budget, does it punish the bond? They are two separate items, unrelated in the sense of how we calculate the tax cap. As Mary has covered a number of times for a number of years, capital items and the expense of debt, based on the sort of the rules of the game that New York State presents, takes capital financing out of our calculation of how we arrive at what we're allowed to consider as our tax cap levy. And so it is fundamental to all districts that in order to raise money to do major projects like we're talking about now, whether it's investment in the arts, athletics, the science labs, the physical infrastructure of the district, there is no way that that gets funded inside an ongoing budget at the pace of a few $100,000 or even $1 million a year. The scope of having 7 buildings and all of the things that go on in this community, there is no way we can just stick in line items of $1 million, $2 million, and at the same time stay within a tax cap of 2%. When you think of our budget roughly that we're actually raising outside of school aid and anything else, it's approximately $130 million. 2% of that is $2.6 million. When we look at just the physical infrastructure being $30 or $40 million of needed ongoing upkeep where we are today, including all those things I just mentioned, you would be looking at 15 or 16 years, and then the cycle would simply start again, and you'd be no better off in the sense of where we are. So the only way to fund that is through a bond. And there are ways then within the budget that we will have a line item to pay for that. But when we calculate our physical tax cap, it is unaffected and in fact actually penalized when we take out some of the capital financing because it reduces the overall structure. So again, the budget is there to optimize what we can provide educationally, and the bond that we're looking at will be to optimize the physical infrastructure, classroom space, wind, watertight roofs, doors, security, athletics, on and on. And they shouldn't be crossed over in a discussion outside when you're having them amongst just as a community and what we're having, because a dollar in the bond is not necessarily a dollar sacrifice. It just isn't a dollar sacrificed in the budget. And those two things shouldn't be crossed over to things that, oh, you're going to spend $1 million to redo science rooms, but then you're going to possibly have to cut something in the budget. Those are two distinct things that even if we didn't do the science, you might not still be able to hang on to certain things in the budget. And that's why we're doing this constant search to find the gap and money to bring that gap from where it starts in literally July 1st of every new year. When we start looking out 12 and 18 months, there is a difference between what we can raise through taxes and what we can then pay across the district for our expenses. And so we are continually looking to protect as much of the educational environment as we can in the budget through as many different clever efficiencies that we can come up with. We have some tailwinds this year because of one of the largest things, as one of our residents spoke at last meeting, that drove 50% of our increase was our pension costs going up, because the state of New York over a 5-year formula had very bad years in 08 and 09. And as a result, we went from 8 or 10% up to where we had to pay 17% of our personnel costs. That's now gone down by 4%, somewhere roughly 4% for this coming year. That will save us roughly $2 to $2.5 million. And that fills a big hole, but we are still not back to zero from where we started. Last year, the board voted to put in $3.5 million out of what could be reasonably called our savings account to balance the budget economically so that we really didn't have to make any changes. We start right away minus that money, and we keep them working back towards zero, plus our contractual obligations. So we're closer now that we have the new retirement number, but it's not to zero. And so we continue to search, and that's part of the presentation tonight. It was the high school presentation. But again, please, when you're looking at this, and if you have other questions, I'm more than happy to go through it. The two aren't penalizing each other ever in this process. The budget will stand on its own, and the bond and its merits will stand on its own and provide the best solution when we adopt them both for what we can deliver educationally for the 5,300 and more kids and the community at the same time.
Thank you very much for that. And now we'll move on our agenda for the report of the superintendent.
Thank you. It's really nice to see so many people here tonight. I know everyone is here for a variety of different reasons, but I really think you're all here because you're actively involved and interested in what is going on in our schools. So I'd like to just take a minute to talk about some really great things that are happening. In curriculum, about 2 weeks ago or so, we had a full superintendent's conference day. And I would like to thank Dr. Westervelt, the principals, the directors, our teachers. We have a staff development committee who put together a very, very full day. Our paraprofessionals had some training as well. We had some was math and focus, but there were other activities going on in addition to that. And Dr. Westervelt did work very hard to set up some additional parent workshops the night before regarding the math and focus. And so we've been working very hard to include everyone in that process. There's something else that you may have seen in the newspaper a while back, that Senator Martins was giving $25,000 in bullet aid to our district. We have received that money, and that money is going to be used by, the majority of the money will be used by the Safety and Substance Abuse Task Force to bring in speakers and programs to address many of the issues, the social and emotional issues, to support our students. But there's one program that I do want to speak about that we're very excited, that something that Mrs. Rodahan has been looking to bring to Weber for a few years, and she's not going to be talking about it in her presentation tonight, so I thought I would speak about it a little bit. She brought it to the Safety and Substance Abuse Committee. They took a look at it. They gave it their blessing. It's an anti-bullying program called the OVS program, and it's used in Jericho Middle School. It's been there for a few years. It is a school-wide program. It will involve staff and students, of course, and parents. We are sending some of our staff for training, thanks to Senator Martin's bullet aid, and through the generosity of the Weber HSA, they're going to be helping to support financially an aspect of this program as well. This year will be sort of our preparation training year, so we can have full implementation in September for the program, and we're just really, really excited and grateful to be starting this in our school district. I also want to offer my congratulations to our school-related professionals. I think all of our different members of our school community work very, very hard for our students. I hope they all know how much I appreciate everything that they do for the children on a daily basis. Again, whether it is our paraprofessionals, our teachers, our custodians, our clerical staff, our security aides, and of course our administrators. We work very hard to meet the needs of all of the children here. We really do love them, and when you see children performing like we had tonight, it really is so worthwhile for us. Speaking about our students, our Schreiber drama production, Almost Me, will be happening this weekend, so I encourage you to attend. Mrs. Sloan mentioned it before, so I just wanted to kind of offer some clarification also regarding the different presentations we had for Schreiber and the one tonight for Weber, and just to reiterate that I stated at the end of the Schreiber presentation that we would not be recommending a 9-period day, but we did say that we do have to look for some efficiencies within the existing schedule, and you've heard the nexus with the budget, so it would not be honest to say that we're not looking at those things, but we want to do it in the least impactful way possible. And that's what you'll hear tonight. It is the board's responsibility to ask administration for us to do our due diligence in looking at every nook and cranny for where we can possibly find some savings and efficiencies, and we will continue to do that as we go through the budget process. In terms of the bond, the administration has been working very closely with the Board of Education. We have been listening to various members of the community as well, and so we're very aware of, trying to address the specific needs of the buildings, particularly in terms of facilities. That is a priority for us. And I would say the way that bond and budget are related, they're related with our educational vision for our students, and that they must be both fully functioning, working well together so that we can provide the best quality educational program for our students. And that's something that we just strive to accomplish every day. So with that, I'll conclude my comments by just saying how very grateful that administration, all of us are, to be in this community and working with all of you, working with your children, and hoping that the Thanksgiving holiday is a time for all of us to reflect on the really good, wonderful things that we have in our lives, because we do know there's so many people in the world who are out there suffering, and we're very fortunate that we have families and children in this community that care so much about other people, and will often take the time to do things for others and to think about others. So with that, I'll just ask Ms. Fennick to give us the most current enrollment report.
Thank you, Dr. Mooney. Student enrollment. As of November 6th, our student enrollment is 5,344 students. We have 15 more students than we did at this time last year. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just make a motion for the approval of the minutes for October 21st and November 12th, 2014. Mr. Hauser, all in favor? 5-0, thank you. And I'm just going to skip quickly in the agenda to an award of tenure. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, on recommendation of the superintendent, awards tenure to the following individual: Scott Postman, Schreiber, Special Education. Just a minute. All in favor? Oh, first I need a second. Second, Mr. Hauser, all in favor? 5-0, thank you, congratulations. Can he stand up? Thank you. Congratulations. And now, finally, we will go to our discussion item. Dr. Mooney?
I won't give this too much further introduction, other than to ask and thank Mrs. Rodanian, who's come forward, and we will be taking a look at the Schreiber schedule. Thank you. Weber, sorry, Weber, I'm sorry. And I'm sitting in Weber too, so.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for this opportunity to discuss the current middle school program and how moving to an 8-day period would impact our students. We've taken your charge very seriously, and we want you to be aware that our mission, vision, and philosophy statements were all written with input from our students, parents, and staff. They, along with the 7 essential elements of effective middle schools, which are recognized by New York State as the best practice for educating young adolescents, are the guiding principles for our programs. Please keep in mind we are also mandated to provide opportunities and support for our students to grow and develop academically, socially, and emotionally. This is our current master schedule showing our 9-period day. Students arrive by bus at approximately 7:15. We have approximately 1,200 students with an average class size of 25. Each grade in each house has one 4-person team. Every student is fully scheduled each period of the day. This schedule that you see here is a modified block schedule. The English and social studies classes back on each other, as do the science and math. As you can see, students have 4 core classes, 3 encore classes in which to take physical education, LOTE, which is languages other than English, art, FACS, which is family and consumer sciences, music, and technology. They also each have a lunch and a core extension period. The encore classes that we provide are mandated by the Part 100.4 of the New York State Intermediate Level Learning Standards. And as you can see, they are mandated to take art and music, family and consumer science, health, languages other than English, and technology. So what exactly is core extension? Core extension is an opportunity to dig deeper into the curriculum and address all the needs of all the students in our community. Enrichment, academic intervention services, and mandated services are provided. I want to let you know that last week, one of our former assistant principals, Dr. Allison Glickman-Rogers, was honored at the Association for Middle Level Educators, which is an international organization. She was named Educator of the Year. As principal of Oceanside Middle School, she was honored for instituting a block schedule similar to ours, as well as a core extension period, which allows for enrichment and academic intervention services. At Weber, this is a time where some students have AIS, some have mandated special education services, others have PEP, which is an important enrichment program for our gifted and talented students in 6th grade, and others have enriching activities such as the following. Each year in my report to the Board of Education and Central Office, I list all of the activities. I'm going to just limit some of the activities. So in 6th grade, students wrote myths that centered around their own imagined mythological creatures. They did current events, elections, Earth Day activities, anti-bullying and social emotional learning activities, creating posters identifying upstanding behavior. They created board games based on the curriculum. They did code making and code breaking. They created a civilization. They created their own businesses. And that's just some of the hundreds of activities that were done in 6th grade core extension. In 7th grade, both clubs dealing with overcoming obstacles was one of the highlights, as well as debates on current issues like child labor, cloning, genetically altered foods, the death penalty, year-round school, and homework. Black history activities were also done during core extension time, and creating opportunities to see government in action, such as having students write to the government about issues that are affecting them or issues they care about. One particular core activity actually dealt with fundraising for a cause, writing to local politicians, and actually getting responses from everyone from the president to senators and congressmen and women. There were writing centers and progressive writing activities where one student started a story and then other students kept completing it as it was passed around the group. They participated in the stock game. They also wrote letters and cards to service personnel thanking them for what they do for our country and telling them how important it is for them to know the support that they give them. They compared the novel to a movie. They created political cartoons, analyzed literary and visual storytelling techniques, and they did study skills techniques as well. In 8th grade, the extension of curriculum through novels and film and research on labor laws, immigration, World War I, World War II, the Cold War, and gay rights. There were book clubs there also. Grammar, vocabulary, and writing centers were created. Debates, preparing both the pro and con positions through text evidence, and presentations as teams. There was coordination with the high school debate team, who modeled the process for the middle school students in core extension. Many students read the same book as students in the Henry Viscardi School. Then a Skyping was set up, and it was an incredible experience, and the Compact Committee will be looking at ways to further that this year. They also built kites, which was a true STEAM, and that stands for science, technology, engineering, art, and math. That was a wonderful activity. Research projects, anti-bullying book clubs, building greener homes and schools. They created prezzies, which were based on books that they read, and they explored crystal formations. That's just some of the activities, but literally I have hundreds of others that I could go over with you if that is necessary. Here's a sample of an 8-period day. There are several decisions that would need to be made should this be implemented. For the purpose of this presentation, we removed the core extension period from our schedule, but still to be decided would be whether or not we would start school later or end school earlier. Note that either of those options would reduce the significant savings in transportation gained by adjusting the start time of the elementary and secondary schools. By implementing the 8-period day, we also limit the opportunities during the day that our students can meet state mandates. Please look above and see how many students are unable to get courses that they need to have in order to be fully prepared for high school and meet the state mandates for the intermediate level. In addition, let's look at how different students would be negatively impacted by an 8-period day. So if a student has either a resource room or AIS, ELA, or math, 3 mandated encore classes would be eliminated from his or her schedule. For students with both the resource room and additionally with AIS, 4 mandated courses have to be eliminated. 6th grade PEP students would be unable to take music, or we would have to change PEP back to what many of you may remember, a pull-out program. That was very difficult for students because they were pulled out of core classes in order to have this wonderful opportunity. Students who take accelerated earth science in 8th grade will need to forego music due to the every other day lab requirement for the high school credit-bearing course. In addition, we would lose common planning time for team teachers to meet with parents, necessitating probably 6 to 8 half days to accommodate parent-teacher conferences for each of our families. The potential savings are lost when part-time on-board teachers would need to be hired to teach the sections that the students need to meet the mandates. In addition, we would need additional dedicated classrooms in order to teach the specialized encores like technology, family and consumer science, and art. As requested by the board, we surveyed over 50 Long Island middle schools in Nassau and Suffolk County. They ranged from 270 to 1,785 students. Only 28% of these middle schools have an 8-period day, and many of those schools have what they call a 0 period, which in essence adds up to a 9-period day, because it is virtually impossible to meet all the mandates in 8 periods. Please also note that 2 of the largest middle schools have both teaming and a house structure, just like Weber's best practice structure. No other middle school, however, has the circuitous facility that has been known as Weber Middle School, where 3 buildings and a new extension have connected together to form a school. Also note that 86% of the schools in the survey have teaming, which has been one of the central components of middle schools since its inception. Teaming is the means to accomplish the critical components of effective middle school practice of developmental responsiveness. So how did Weber decide on just how to meet the needs of adolescents when the district moved away from the traditional junior high school model? For 2 years in 1994 through 96, they actually studied the most current research and recommended practices for middle-level education. They visited many, many schools in the tri-state area and worked closely with middle-level expert consultants from around the country to design the most effective school model for adolescents. Listen to some of the voices of middle school experts. I hope you can see it. Do you want me to read it, or can you see it yourselves? Okay. The middle school should not apologize for its commitment to creating a caring and nurturing environment for young adolescents. What student, regardless of age, doesn't profit from such a climate? Caring and nurturing do not and should not come at the expense of learning at the highest levels. Instead, caring allows learning to take place. That's a statement from James Bean, who was actually one of the people who came to our district to talk about what middle-level education should look like. Teaming creates a context that enables students and teachers to better know one another and allows teachers to better understand and support the learning of the students. That's from 2013. And then in 2014, Nancy Doda, who also came here in the 1990s, talked about a team of teachers can come to know students and families exceedingly well and can collaborate to create a safe, personalized learning program for students. We all know, at least those of us who work in middle school, that middle school students don't care what you know until they know that you care. And that's what the teaming and housing does. Gives students people who care and creates smaller learning communities where social and emotional needs are met along with their academic needs. This has proven to increase academic growth and achievement. Recently, Dr. Mooney and several district administrators had this affirmed at a recent LICE conference. Also, in the November 2014 Kaplan Journal article, researchers once again credit teaming in meeting the needs of adolescents by enabling them to develop social and emotional skills to better handle the higher level thinking and successfully meet the Common Core learning standards, which require empathy, understanding of an author's perspective, and the purpose in literature. Adolescents have special needs. They need to belong. Team and house identity addresses that need at a large middle school like Weber. When teams of teachers share the responsibility for the same 100 students and their families, they all benefit from a concerted effort for all involved to help the students succeed. The daily planning period, the integration of curriculum, is all able to create webs of information and learning that is connected and able to be applied to new learning situations. Our current schedule and program provides students with half day in the team and houses, those smaller learning communities we talked about, and then half the day in rainbow classes, where they actually expand their knowledge of students on the entire grade. It truly is a perfect balance. Here is a pictorial representation of the house structure. As you can see, each house has 100 6th graders, 100 7th graders, and 100 8th graders. They are located in certain areas of the building so that 7th and 8th grade teachers see their students during those 2 years. They establish caring relationships. Research proves the benefits of teaming in houses in large middle schools. And as you can see, there are no savings to be had by eliminating either. Regardless of if we have teams and houses, we still need 16 sections of core classes for each grade, each period, whether there are teams and houses or not. We would be remiss if we do not inform you that there is an area where we do exceed the state mandate, and that is acceleration. We offer art, math, and science acceleration. We only need to offer 2. If we were to eliminate earth science in the middle school, we could realize a staff saving of 1.0. I could not recommend paring back to that New York State mandate, but it is certainly a possibility for you to consider in these tough economic times. The only other non-mandated offerings at Weber that have not already been eliminated by the board are PEP 6 and lunchtime enrichment. If the board chose to eliminate those, that would be an additional 1.0 savings. I remind the board and the community that Weber has already sustained a 5.5 FTE cut, even with our increased enrollment. Unlike other cuts that the district made, ours were not reinstituted. Please take a look at our accomplishments and results. Our programs work. They are designed specifically for the students who we serve, 10 to 14-year-olds, who are experiencing the greatest growth of their life, both mentally and physically. So before you make your decisions, please look carefully at the Weber students that your decisions will affect. Weber serves all populations, from our MILE program to ESL, to inclusion, to acceleration. Help us to continue to be all we can be to all of our students. They deserve nothing less than our best. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan, for a very comprehensive presentation, answering a lot of questions that a lot of people have had before we have to discuss them even tonight. I think there might be a few more questions, anyone? Chris, want to start with you?
Hi, thank you. And the questions per se do not actually reflect an opinion of my own, just out of curiosity questions. If you went to a 9-period day, or an 8-period day, over a modified block, do you cut administrators, or do you keep the same amount of administrators on staff?
There would be no cut in administration. we would not be able to meet the mandates of the observation process, nor be able to supervise the building in the way we need to.
And when you go to earth science, what is the average regular 8th grade science class size?
Probably 25 to 28.
And that 0 period, when is that?
Well, for the schools that have a 0 period, it's before school starts. So it would be, our school starts at 8 o'clock, so I would have to guess that it would be, say, like at 7:15 or something like that.
And that is for students that need to make up other classes, such as either AIS services or art or something where it's displaced?
It's actually the way that district provides enough periods in the day in order to get the mandates. So they could use it for art, they could use it for music, they could use it for AIS. But again, it's virtually a 9-period day. It's just starting it earlier, which means we would end earlier as well.
And I lost my last question, so I'm going to pass it on to Larry.
Sorry.
You might ask it anyway.
Okay.
Thank you. It was very focused. I think I got your points. I don't think any of us here want to cut your program and have kids not be able to take everything that they would like. The only advantage I could see to lowering the number of periods would be there would be less time between periods. There'd be a little bit more time for the kids to be in other activities. But the only way that would work is if you went to a 6-period day like Schreiber, and I'm not sure that that's appropriate necessarily for the middle schoolers. So I think we have to have what we have. So, thank you.
I have one question I'm curious about. The lunchtime enrichment, is that an optional program or kids are selected?
No, it's open to everybody in grades 6, 7, and 8.
And how well attended is it?
It's attended a lot by 6th grade, a little bit less by 7th grade, and 8th grade it's even less because many of the students in 8th grade go back to the classrooms of their teachers or coaches and spend time there. However, when we do the math challenges, the math Olympiads, then kids come.
Okay. And also, I just wanted to mention that there's a lot of discussion at various meetings about the accelerated programs, and it was very interesting to see in the presentation that it's 100% mastery level in the regions, and obviously that's going well. And I want to commend all the teachers, and I was going to say this at the end, but I'll say it now. Middle school is a tough place. It's a big school, and it's a tough age, and it's a place that a lot of our staff gets a lot of criticism by nature of it being a middle school, and I just want to thank all the staff that's here tonight and the staff that's not here tonight, because we do a remarkable job. We're not noted as a school of distinction by accident. So thank you.
Thank you.
And
sorry, thank you for the presentation. I just want to make it clear that you're not advocating for elimination of what we have left of the CAP program or the accelerated earth science or anything of that nature.
No, but I understand that you have economic realities, and so I'm just saying everything, I want to be as transparent as possible.
Sure. Let's say, and again, we're not saying that we're for that by any stretch of the imagination, or you are, if you're administrators. If those programs were to be eliminated, what opportunities would remain, if any, for enrichment?
For extension, for those students who do not have AIS, clubs and after-school activities, God willing, they're still here next year. And just in class, because there are many different opportunities in the actual classes themselves for children to select and make choices on research projects and areas where they have interest.
Do you think, I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay.
Do you think that would be appropriate or sufficient for that matter?
For some students, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. It's always interesting. Would it be really safe to conclude that short of increasing class size, always feel like we have to issue these disclaimers that we're not necessarily putting that forward, but I just noticed that there were 16 to 25. If we were to go to 30, we would start to shorten the number. It would be 13 or somewhere in that neighborhood. So instead of the
But then
48, you
right.
have 39 at that point of physical sections at that point. So outside of doing something like that, there's nothing really dramatic that we would do to alter the structure.
Correct, but also know that if you do that, then the cooking area would have 30 students in it. As it is, 26 to 28 is very, very crowded. In the technology rooms where they're using power tools, 30 students in that kind of a setting is not really safe. I said it out loud, I'm sorry, but it's true. They're young children and need tremendous supervision with power tools.
Adults need supervision with power tools, so there are far more of them in the emergency room than kids. So. Trust me, I've been there. In the presentation, going the other way, if there were things that you were going to put back in that magically the money appeared for, that were on your list of things that the school has already given up that have never been returned, I think is the cuts, as you mentioned, that other schools received back that you here at Weber didn't. Is there a priority to that?
I would say our computer program, which was really phenomenal. We had 2 computer teachers. They worked with 2 houses each, and they fully integrated the computer technology as the students were doing projects in their core classes, and that was phenomenal. We assume sometimes, because so many children have so many devices, that they know how to use them, but they really don't. They've made them work for them, but they don't really understand that why they need to have the text box and put it in that way in order to edit it later on, as opposed to putting it in. They also don't know everything that they don't know. And so it's really helpful to have that kind of guidance, because again, not every staff member has expertise in every technology that's out there right now, but having people who have that skill and then working with the students and the staff at the same time was an ideal situation, and it's a tremendous loss to our building. The other thing, since you asked, is Health 6. That was a very, very powerful program for the health teachers to get to know the students before they entered in 7th grade. We're doing the best we can now, but if the established relationship is already there by the time the students are starting to deal with peer pressure and experimentation with maybe alcohol, because that's the big year for parties, that's something that used to really work better than what is currently working, but our health teachers do a great job just seeing the students in 7th grade.
And the technology side was across all 3 grade levels.
It sure was.
And so, again, with finite resources, not to put you on the spot, but if one were to weigh the 0.4 and 0.6 that were on the slide as potential savings, would we be better serving the 1,200 kids to reallocate that money as one technology teacher and then add a second one out of the general budget again if there was that money, versus the students served by the 0.4 and 0.6?
I think that would have to be a discussion that we would have. Right now, it appears as if one outweighs the other, but I know that that may not be the case for every student. So again, it is an option, and it did serve a great number of students, but those students who are currently being served by the other, it's important to them too.
Thanks.
The other thing I just want to point out on the PEP is that, at least for the 0.4, it is tied to the elementary school program, so that makes that, it is one of the programs that continues to be reduced, and it does it does make it work better. So we just relate to that too. I wanted to thank Mrs. Rodahan and the Weber administration, the assistant principals who are all here tonight, the many teachers from Weber who are here as well. We are proud of what Shriver does for our high school students. We're very proud of what Weber does for our middle school students. I think the point taken from all of these presentations is that we are always looking to see what we can do to do things in the way that is really best for the students. We want to remain current and we want to be relevant in what we're offering to our students. It is always a challenge to try and do that with a limited financial ability, but we try to make the most of the resources that we do have. I think it is more challenging to find areas to be more efficient at Weber than at Shriver. That's just an honest statement. Again, because we have looked in all our schools. Weber has sustained some budgetary cuts that other places have had some restorations at this point. They also have growing student enrollment, and the 25 is an average class size, but you really have some class sizes that are larger. We are probably bringing in a larger current fifth grade this year. So you also have some ebb and flow, but at some point all three of your grades will be over 400 as well. Right. That's working its way through Shriver too. So just to be clear, the administration is not recommending, nor do I hear the board saying they're really interested in moving to an 8-period day. And that, again, we always look to be current and relevant in the programs that we do offer to our students, and we will continue, administration will continue in all areas in schools as we work through the budget process. And as some of these other numbers come in, and we can start closing that gap, hopefully what we have to recommend and any possible cuts will be less and less. So.
I just have to say something before you jump in about the bond. For anybody that wasn't available to go on the facilities tour, I'm sitting here freezing. Look at the windows and the strings blowing, and the windows are closed, so clearly they need to be replaced.
Just during some of the bond discussion, we talked about the capacity of the buildings, and at least the statistic here is that we are only at roughly 82% utilization. And so there's a lot of talk about how we could cycle through if we replace the portables and all of that. Are you finding that is an accurate assessment of the building capacity at the moment?
I didn't hear the 82%. I'm not quite sure what that number refers to. Is it the numbers of rooms being used each of the periods of the day?
I think in the overall day running of the program the school is running, that all the rooms would be theoretically occupied at 82% of the time, leaving 18% of spare capacity at any moment throughout the day, I think is how that was viewed.
Well, that would probably be true because we have 3 lunch periods, and so during those periods, an entire grade is in the cafeteria or out on the field. So I would say that's probably accurate. Yeah.
Thank you again very much for the presentation and to everyone that participated in it.
Thank you.
We're now going to move to committee reports. As I mentioned, Mrs. Johnson isn't able to be here tonight. She's the chair of the committee because she has a family illness. And so the committee meeting that was scheduled for Friday morning has been canceled. We await to hear from her to see if it will be rescheduled. With the holidays, we might just go to the next meeting. And now we'll go to budget and facilities. Mr. Mayor?
We had a meeting recently where we continue to touch on the bond
And curriculum, Mr. Greenstein?
Curriculum, we met on Friday and we discussed the Part 154 regs, also known as the Services for Students of English as a Next Language, which is a new name. And basically what we learned is that our program that we have now works really, really well, and we're now going to have to adapt and change it to the new regs that are coming down. And I'm confident that the staff will do as best they can, and we'll have another good program, and hopefully it won't cost us too much more money. Our next meeting is sometime, hang on. So, December 5th, yep, just at the bottom of my calendar right there. December 5th, 8:30 at Daly. Thanks.
And the agenda will be posted in a timely fashion.
The agenda will be posted in a timely fashion.
I will now move to the action items, item A1 through D12. Do I have a second? Ms. Nadolny, all in favor? 5-0, thank you. And I believe, Dr. Mooney, do you want to comment first? What we just voted on? Or do you want me to?
I just wanted to make note that we have reached settlement agreements with 3 of our bargaining units, with the paraprofessionals, with the custodians, and with our security aides. And I just want to thank everyone on both sides for working very, very hard and keeping in mind what is really in the best financial interest of the district. And I think that we saw really a tremendous effort from our bargaining units to work very closely with us and help support our students in this way. So very, very grateful for them and their efforts.
I just want to add to that on behalf of the board to really very sincerely thank the 3 units that we just voted on this evening on closing the contract discussion and reaching a successful close to it, to the custodians, the security guards, and the paraprofessionals, and as Dr. Mooney said, really working with us to help us in these times where there is a financial reality and such great limits to what we can do and still best serve our students. And we need all the members in all of these units to best serve our students. So we thank you. And we'd also like to thank the administration, because this was not an easy negotiation for you either to set out and come to successful conclusions. So thank you very much. And now I guess there's no old business, there's no new business, there's another opportunity for the community to be heard. Does anybody want to be heard?
Hi, I'm Beth Weisbert. I'm the president, one of the co-presidents of the Weber HSA. I wanted to thank you clearly through your comments and questions tonight. You've taken very seriously Mrs. Rodniak's presentation, and you're standing behind our middle school students. And I also can say, as somebody who sat on the facilities committee, you really took seriously the needs here at Weber, and I believe very clearly you're addressing that through the bonds. So I thank you, everybody on the board and everybody in the administration, for showing such great support for our middle school students.
And if there's no one else, before we adjourn, just want to remind everyone we have scheduled an additional meeting in December. We're having a board meeting on a Monday evening due to a lot of conflicts in schedules, such as concerts and other things at that time of year. So it'll be December 1st, which is a Monday evening at 7 p.m. in the Schreiber Library. Middle school concerts all over. Thank you and have a good night and a very happy Thanksgiving.